Comet 3I Atlas has unexpectedly become one of the most mysterious guests from interstellar space. Only a couple of years ago, no one had heard of her, and now there's controversy, sensations, alien probes, and a bunch of new science around her. And the fun began in recent weeks when a zoo of spacecraft and telescopes, from Martian orbiters to radio telescopes on Earth, was connected to it. 3I Atlas is only the third confirmed interstellar comet in history. It came to us not from the Oort cloud or the outskirts of the solar system, but from another star system altogether. Its orbit is hyperbolic, its trajectory is open, which means it flew in, showed up in our telescopes, and will never return. So astronomers are now in a watch everything urgently before it flies away mode. And in recent days, they've really made the most of this comet. The first major update: NASA has officially confirmed once again that 3I Atlas is behaving like a normal, biologically pure comet, not a man-made object. It was watched by several missions at once: the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MAVEN, Stereo, SOHO, plus ground-based telescopes and radio observations. The scenario is the same everywhere. The core, a bright gas and dust coma around it, an elongated tail, and the characteristic spectral lines of water and other volatiles. No flat structures, no metallic highlights, no strange maneuvers. Yes, it's an interstellar visitor, but it's a typical comet, just not from us. The most spectacular thing for today is the new detailed shots. The high-rise camera in the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter captured, in fact, the clearest images so far of the area around the core. You have to understand, even for a telescope like this, a comet is still not a rock with craters, but rather a compact glowing spot with uneven brightness. But in the new images, you can see the structure of the coma, the heterogeneity of emissions, the direction of thin jets of dust. In parallel, other missions and observatories have shown a series of shots with different scales. Somewhere a long, torn tail is clearly visible, somewhere the shape and brightness of a near-trace dust cloud. These pictures are now being actively dissected by scientists, amateurs, and, of course, conspiracy theorists. The second big news in recent days is related to water. The MAVEN orbiter, who usually studies the Martian atmosphere, took the opportunity and looked at the comet in the ultraviolet range. He saw a huge cocoon of hydrogen around 3I Atlas. This is a typical trace of water actively evaporating from a comet. H2O molecules are destroyed by ultraviolet light, and a cloud of atomic hydrogen is formed, which can be detected in certain lines. For us, this is direct confirmation. The comet carries water and is losing it very actively, and in an amount comparable to the most active comets we have ever observed in our system. And against this backdrop, what many media have already managed to call the first radio signal from an interstellar comet is taking place. The Meerkat radio telescope did indeed detect a radio line associated with hydroxyl-OH molecules. It is not a transmission or a code, but a normal, well-known line that occurs when water in a comet disintegrates and decay products are emitted at radio frequencies. Similar signals have been picked up from other regular comets. But in the case of 3I Atlas, it's a special moment. We've heard for the first time a similar signal from an object that came to us from another star system. So yes, you can honestly say we've caught the first radio signal from an interstellar comet. But in a scientific sense, it's not alien Wi-Fi, it's just the physics of water. Nevertheless, the oddities around 3I Atlas have not gone away. One is non-gravitational acceleration. When ice and gas actively evaporate from the surface, the comet gets a little jet kick, like mini engines scattered across the nucleus. This acceleration can slightly tweak the trajectory. In the case of 3I Atlas, calculations showed that because of this effect, its path changed so that the minimum distance to Jupiter became almost equal to the radius of its sphere of influence, the so-called Hill radius. To some, it looks like a strange coincidence, as if the trajectory is deliberately fitted to make the most of Jupiter's gravity. On this basis, Supporters of the hypothesis that the object could be artificial, like a probe or a technology debris cloud, have again become active. In particular, the famous astrophysicist Avi Loeb continues to write articles in this direction. But it is important to understand that at the data level, they see only a slight deviation in the trajectory, which is well explained by the usual evaporation of ice. Everything else is just interpretations and arguments. So far, there is no concrete, reinforced concrete evidence of an artificial origin. The images show dust and gas in the spectrum, water and typical molecules in the radio range normal comet lines. That is, in terms of observations, it is a very active and slightly unusual interstellar comet, not a single-digit ship. There is another curious point. In some new images, thin, lateral structures, streaks, or individual elongated formations are visible around the main coma. And then it's already started. Some say it's just satellite tracks or processing artifacts. Some say it's possible fragments that the comet is throwing aside. Now astronomers are just sorting it out, comparing footage from different instruments, seeing if these features are repeated, whether they coincide in the direction of the tail, the orbit, or simply run over the trajectory of the passage of the equipment. A clear conclusion is still a long way off, but it adds to the comet's character. It doesn't look like a flat blur, but like a dynamic, complex object that is actively losing material. If we talk about what is happening right now in the sky, 3I Atlas has already become bright enough for amateur observations with technology. Its magnitude is now around 10 to 11, meaning you can't see it with the naked eye, but a good pair of binoculars or a small telescope can already catch it as a faint, greenish speck with a hint of a tail. In the coming weeks, as it approaches the Earth and the belt, where observational conditions are better, it may become even more noticeable to telescope owners. Nor does it pose any danger. Distances remain cosmically large. It is just a spectacle and a scientific gift. In sum, the picture is like this now. On the one hand, the new data strongly lands the wildest theories. We see a normal comet with water, a hydrogen cloud, gas, dust, characteristic spectral lines, and cometary behavior. On the other hand, interstellar origins, an unusual trajectory, non-gravitational acceleration, and some strange details in the images continue to throw fuel into the bonfire of discussions. For science, this is the perfect case. A rare object that both fits into familiar patterns and forces those models to tweak and refine. And perhaps the main conclusion now is that 3I Atlas is not a rebutted sensation, but, on the contrary, an example of what real astronomy looks like in real time. First, there's the big headlines, a bunch of versions, and hype. Then there's a stream of new measurements from different devices, a quiet analysis of data, a recalculation of orbits, spectra, and images. And the output is not one bold yes, it's a ship, or no, it's just a rock, but a much more interesting answer. Here is the first truly well-studied interstellar comet visitor, who has already taught us a lot and, judging by the way telescopes are still attached to it, will teach even more as it quietly flies through our system and flies back into interstellar darkness. Thank you for watching.